Hello, friends. It's Chris Angel coming at you for another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. And tonight we're going to talk about the underestimating of the journey of business. Got into business for myself at the age of 24, and that was 19 years ago. I'm actually now 44, but I got into business in the spring of 2001. And in that genesis of, or that origin story of getting into business, you're young and you're excited about what's possible. You go, oh man, this will be great. And if I think about what launched me into business for myself, it was my deep-seated value in freedom. That I value freedom so much that I don't want to be constrained by someone else's goals, someone else's agendas, someone telling me what to do, when to do it. Like I really deeply value freedom. And it's interesting now, 19 years into business, I can look back and see how I've forgotten, I think. It's just been the air I breathe. But I can see, if I pause and look, I can see how much I have made decisions based on whether that decision gave me freedom or not. So watch. I will have times when I don't want to do the work. I will have times when I don't want to work. And that plagues me as someone in business, because there's the other side of me that is this: I want to build stuff. I want to know myself as someone who produces results. I want to have successes. So there's this driver in me that wants to get things done, right? And then there's this other deep-seated value that somehow I've forgotten about, but it is alive and well and has been with me for 19 years. And it served me in many ways, but it is also the thing that has me then choose freedom over work. Do you see? Like, I'll be like, I'm not going to do that right now. And when you're an entrepreneur in the space of trying to grow, not only grow a business, but grow a life, I deeply underestimated of business. I deeply underestimated the journey of business. And it's at times, and now is one of those times, it's left me in a place of having to think about what I'm willing to give. What am I willing to give? And when I think about my value in freedom, rather than fighting that, I guess one option would be I could try to rewire that value. I'd be like, well, let's change values. But that would be very hard for me, because I very much value my freedom. So now I'm having to rethink, how can I build my life and business around this value while still getting things done? And I don't have an answer for you there, right? I don't have an answer for you in that. What I do know, though, is that if you have committed to the journey of business, you, like me, may have underestimated this journey. You, like me, may have some deep-seated values that are standing in the way of some of the goals you've set for yourself. And you're frustrated and wondering, why am I not producing the way I want to produce? And what you've failed to look at are some of the deep-seated values that may be keeping you from doing things differently. Either way, what I think I always have to come back to, what's the alternative? That's the question I ask myself when I get to these moments, because I think what I'm clear on is I'm not giving up the journey of freedom. I'm not giving up that journey, right? Like, that's just the journey of the rest of my life. So the question then becomes, how do I live inside of this value and still produce results? Or how do I live inside this value and be content as someone who's hungry to continue to grow? I want to grow and expand my life, and I keep wanting to make decisions in alignment with my freedom. So here's what there is to do with this, because in the space of marketing and business, if you don't pay attention to your values, what can happen is many times in your entrepreneurial journey, you will be frustrated with your performance. You'll be frustrated with how it is going for you. And so you won't be able to enjoy the journey. You'll actually just feel trapped in the journey. And the thing is, you chose the journey, right? I chose the journey. It's not bad, right? This isn't a bad thing. It can be frustrating, but it's just an opportunity to look for. It's an opportunity to look for, like, what's happening here. Because I keep making decisions, right, in alignment with something. And what popped for me this past week was, dude, you have some value under the surface here that's really causing these decisions. What is that? And it was so silly because I just went right back to, like, well, duh, it's freedom. Like, that's what it's always been. Braveheart is my favorite movie, right? Braveheart is my favorite movie, right? He screams freedom at the end, like it's Braveheart. So you, like me, will have moments in your entrepreneurial journey that you've underestimated where you'll have to continually bring yourself back into alignment with who you are. And I wish, because I sometimes feel a little bit like, maybe embarrassed isn't the word, but I feel like I should be older and wiser than that by now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, I should know how to live my entrepreneurial journey productively and efficiently and effectively now at 19 years into this game. And somehow that still isn't how it unwinds for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, isn't that funny? 19 years into business and I'm still like, dude, you should have this figured out by now. And if you say the same thing to yourself, then what happens is you start to judge the journey, and that affects how you feel about it. And that's the place where you start to burn things to the ground, right? I've had all kinds of thoughts about, like, hey, I'm out. Like, I'll just go get a job. I'll go do something else where I don't have to make the decisions and I don't have to think about things. Like, I'll just react to what somebody gives me. And then you know what thought comes on the heels of that? The thought that comes on the heels of that is, but then I won't have freedom, right? Do you see, like, there is that, somebody keeps giving me all these sad faces. Hey, it's okay. I'm okay. You don't have to be sad for me unless you're sad over there and crying. That's okay too, right? But I'm sharing with you, look, guys, so much I think of marketing this way. You leading a conversation for your people, just like I'm leading a conversation for my people. And maybe you're my people, I don't know, right? But so much of us as leaders leading a conversation for our people is about being transparent, not always having it all figured out. I think that's the thing that sets the people we lead up for failure, right? Like, when you always have to show up on and put together and figured out, one, that creates an impossible journey for you, but two, it creates an impossible standard for the people you lead. Why not just be honest and transparent about where you get stuck? And if this is episode 385 of this show, episode 385. And if I've done anything in these 385 episodes, it's trying to be transparent to show you where I don't have it all figured out. And sometimes leading from questions, not leading from answers. And tonight you caught me in one of those spaces where I'm leading from a question, not an answer, and letting you know that in however long you've been in business, I've been in 19 years, however long you've been in business, if you ever have that space where you're feeling at odds with yourself, you have some goals, you have some desires, and yet at the same time, you seem to be making decisions that aren't helpful or constructive towards those goals and desires, you're not alone. Right? You're not, that's part of the journey. And you may have underestimated this journey of business like I did. And that's just part of it. And so the question you end up with then is, what's the alternative? What's the alternative? This is where I am. Do I go get a job? I don't think so. What I can tell you now, 19 years in, is that I've never felt more, when I do the work with my people, when I work with my people, I never feel more aligned than that. And then there's all the other stuff inside a business that doesn't feel aligned. Okay? And that's just wrestling with that. And you'll have so many moments of that. I don't know how deep into your entrepreneurial journey you are, but you'll have so many moments where you're like, and it's all the other stuff that doesn't feel in alignment that causes you to question the journey. And then you get these beautiful moments where you get to have the experiences with your clients and lead people in a way that you go, this is exactly why I do this. This is why I do this work. So anyway, gang, that's what's on my mind tonight. That's what's on my mind tonight. And if you, if this has been helpful for you, thank you. By the way, thank you tonight for all the hearts and the likes and I'm loving all the jazz on the screen here. It's fantastic. Thanks for hanging out with me. My commitment is that we continue to have more business people, coaches, healers, people in the world who want to make the world a better place through marketing, through the conversations they lead. But in order to do that, you have to be able to stay in the conversation. And to stay in the conversation, you have to realize, like, sometimes you may have underestimated the journey, and that's okay. Right? Because sometimes what happens is then you get down on yourself about it, and then you take yourself out of the game. And that's the opposite of what I think we need to happen. We need to have more heart-centered entrepreneurs and leaders leading conversations even when they don't have all the answers. Because that's actually what makes the world better. Because it lets the world know that you, the world, don't also have to have all the answers. And together we can figure this out. So that's my encouragement to you tonight. Just keep stay. That's right. Christopher Harrington says, stay in the conversation. Don't underestimate. Yeah, just stay in the conversation. 100%. Stay in the conversation and keep leading. Keep leading what you feel led in your heart to say and lead. Tonight, before I started, I was like, I have a lot of things I could say to you. Where am I at? And what I was present to was just this friction between the goals I've set for myself and the decisions I keep making. And I decided to put that on loudspeaker for you. So here's what you can do. You can go put on loudspeaker for your people the questions you keep contemplating and considering. Where is the friction in your life? And go put that on loudspeaker for the people that you lead. All right. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight, gang. And again, thanks for all the action on the screen here. I'm loving these hearts and these likes. Wow. Thank you for that. Until tomorrow, when we go live again, here's to you leading your conversation.